Shalom lekulam. In this week's Parsha, Perek Mem Zayin, there's a fascinating scene. The fascinating scene when the brothers come and Yosef instructs the brothers to tell Paro that they are shepherds and not farmers. And the pasuk says, "Ba'avur teshvu be'eretz Goshen, ki to'avat Mitzrayim kol ro'etzon," in order that they will be settled in Goshen, because it is an abomination to the Egyptians, somebody who is a shepherd. And then, because obviously if they're shepherds and they're eating the farmed land, that's going to be an issue for the Egyptian farmers. But the fascinating dialogue between the brothers and Paro and Yosef, let's focus a little bit on the language that they use, and we see there's something underlying the text here. So it says, "Vayavo Yosef v'yagel Paro, vayomer aviva achai b'tzonam v'karam chol asher lahem ba'u me'eretz Goshen v'hinam be'eretz Goshen." He says, my whole family, my brothers, my father, their cattle, everything that they have come from Canaan, and now they're in Goshen. And he presented 5 of his brothers in front of Paro. V'yomer Paro elachav, ma ma'asechem. Paro says, what is your work? V'yomer Paro ro'etzon avadecha gam anachnu gam avotenu. We are shepherds, us and our forefathers. And then let's listen carefully. Pasuk Daled. Vayomru el Paro, lagur ba'aretz banu, ki ein mir el etzon asher lavadecha, ki chaved harav la'eretz Goshen. Now, lagur, we know, lagur, ger, is to be a stranger. We've come for a few years. We have come because there's not enough pasture land for our sheep. So we have come in order to, because the famine is great, we have come for a few years in order to sojourn in the land. So let us settle now in Eretz Goshen. Now listen to Paro's response to Yosef. V'yomer Paro Yosef lemor, avicha v'achecha ba'u elecha. Your father, and Paro says to Yosef, your fathers and your brother have come to me. Eretz Mitzrayim lefanecha. All of Egypt is in front of you. V'meitav haaretz hoshev et avicha ve'et achecha. In the best part of the land, let your father and your brothers settle. Yeshvu be'eretz Goshen. Let them settle. Be a toshav, not necessarily a ger. Right, not necessarily sojourn. They'll have an A1 visa. They'll have residency, a green card. And if there's anybody who's very talented, they can man the royal flocks. Don't just sojourn and be separated. You can actually have an impact on all of Egypt. And then there's a fascinating dialogue between Yaakov and Paro. Yosef et Yaakov aviva midei lifnei Paro vayivarech Yaakov et Paro. Listen to the dialogue between Yaakov and Paro. Vayomer Paro Yaakov kami mishmei chayacha. How old are you? Yaakov could get a simple answer here, but instead he says, Vayomer Yaakov et Paro yemei shnei migurai shloshim ma'ashana. The days of my sojourns, the days of me being a stranger, are 130 years. Ma'atrayim hayu yemei shnei chayai. They've been small. They've been terrible. V'lo esigu et yemei shnei chayei abutai b'mei migureihem, and they haven't eclipsed the days of my fathers and the days of their sojourns. Twice we see the word ger in his response to Paro. Focusing on the fact that he is a stranger. So there's an underlying piece here where he is focusing on not being a citizen, being a stranger, never being settled. And listen to what Paro says. Listen to what happens. Does Paro win? Paro wants them to settle. Yaakov, his brothers, they want to just be there for a few years, be gerim. Are they going to be gerim or are they going to be toshavim? That's the question. Pasuk Yud Aleph. Vayoshev Yosef et aviv et achav, vayitem lahem achuza be'eretz Mitzrayim, b'meitav ha'aretz be'eretz Ramses, kasher tziva Paro. Yosef settles them. Paro wins. They're toshavim. Not only are they toshavim, they have an achuzah. They're landowners. The last time we saw the word achuzah was at Marat HaMachpelah, achuzat kever. The Torah goes out of its way every time it mentions Marat HaMachpelah, achuzat kever. They now have an achuzah not in Eretz Yisrael, but in Eretz Mitzrayim. B'meitav ha'aretz be'eretz Ramses kasher tziva Paro. And not only that, Pasuk Yud Bet, Vayichakel Yosef et aviv et achav et kol beit aviv lechem lefi ataf. Meaning the children, every single child that is born to somebody from the family of Yosef, they will get more of a bread ration. As opposed to v'lechem ein b'chol eretz. B'chol haaretz ki chaver harav ma'od. Vatela eretz Mitzrayim be'eretz Canaan mifnei harav. And we see over the next few psukim the deal that Yosef makes with the Egyptians. If we move all the way to pasuk chaf, Vaiken, right? Yosef et kol admat Mitzrayim leFaro. Ki machru Mitzrayim yishadeu ki chazak aleim harav. Vatia aretz leParo. The Hetam Haviro Tole Arim Mikseg will Mitzrayim Vad Katseu. Yosef acquires all the land. He then moves all of the Egyptians and he moves them to different cities from one end of Egypt to the other end of Egypt. So it turns out that all of the Egyptians are Gerim. They're sojourning. They're not landowners anymore. They're living in different parts of Egypt. While Yosef's family, Bnei Israel, are landowners. They have an achuzah. One exception, right? V'yomer Yosef elam, right? The one exception is the Kohanim. And then Pasuk Chav Gimel, Vayomer Yosef el ha'am, hein kaniti etchem hayom ve'et admatchem leParo, hei lachem zera v'uzratem et ha'adama. I own the land, take seeds and seed the land. Vayabat tvuot, unetatem chamishit leParo, v'arba yadot yelachem lezera asadeh, ula'och lechem, asher vatechem lechol tapechem. The Egyptians, they get a seed ration. They work their land. They have to decide how much are they seeding the land and eating and making into flour and eating, the bread capital of the world of Egypt, or how much are they seeding and they're planting. So they have to ration their food. So while Bnei Yisrael, they are getting lechem lefi ataf, incentivizing population growth, incentivizing the more children they have, the more food they're going to get. The Egyptians, who are gerim, they are going to, it's going to depress population growth because each mouth you have to feed means less seeds to plant, less for the rest of the family. And we then have two populations. One population that is growing, that has an achuzah of Eretz Mitzrayim, and one population that is shrinking and is suffering through the famine. And the parsha ends, Vayeshev Yisrael be'eretz Mitzrayim be'eretz Goshen, Vayeachazuva, Vayefru vayirbu ma'od. And there's a beautiful, beautiful kliyakar on this piece. And he says, Kol pasuk zeh ba'ashmat bnei Yisrael hu medaber. This pasuk is to lay guilt on bnei Yisrael. Ki hakadosh baruch hu gazar lehem ki geri zaracha. They're just supposed to sojourn in the land. Vehema bikshulio toshavim makom shenigzar lehem gerut. And they wanted to be toshavim. They want to settle there. Kemo she darshu etzel Yaakov vayeshev Yisrael v'kesh yeshev b'shalva. They just want to settle, just like Yaakov wanted to settle. I'm skipping a little bit. And he says, "Pasuk ma'ashimam al yeshiva zo shebikshu achuzah be'eretz lo lehem." They wanted to hold land in a land that wasn't theirs. V'lo kach amru al paro lagur ba'aretz banu. We know from the Haggadah L'Shtakei Hashem El Lagur, they just wanted to sojourn there, just wanted to be there a little bit. Now they changed their minds. And they got so settled there. Life was great. They had all the food that they wanted. They had their own land, and they didn't want to leave anymore. Meaning they could have left. We see from Yaakov's funeral that he could have left. But life was good. They settled there. And against all odds, God had to take them biyad chazakah after years and years of slavery and pain. And I think it's an incredible lesson that has incredible implications for our time as well. And Mirza Hashem, I'll let everybody think about that. Shabbat Shalom.